welcome to another episode of the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to talk about everything there is in terms of professional wrestling, all the action inside and outside the ring. We also talk about promotions from WWE, the AEW, the TNA, Ring of Honor, New Japan Professional Wrestling, Stardom, the GCW, the NWA. If it makes major news inside the world of professional wrestling, we talk about it here on this show. So we have an awesome show for you today. But first and foremost, I gotta, just gotta ask each and every one of you guys. Hope you all are doing well. How are you guys doing? How was your weekend? Obviously, you can always hit up the chats. Tell me how you feel about absolutely anything. If you're dying to get anything off your chest tonight on a beautiful Monday night in Southern California, it's about 78 degrees. It's not bad. It's a nice little breeze. You know, weekends nowadays, I feel like are kind of hard to come by. You know what I mean? I feel like in today's modern day, in terms of trying to establish yourself as a podcaster or an entertainer, or basically just anything. Like, sometimes you got to pay your dues. You don't really have a chance to enjoy the weekend because you're working. But when you get home, you embrace your family, and just lucky that you have financial stability, that's able to help your family throughout the thick and thin. So once again, hope you guys had a great weekend. So let's go ahead and dive on into some WWE, AEW wrestling, some good old fashioned wrestling content here on the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you today. Lined up, we have our WWE Monday Night Raw. And then we have our SmackDown review, excuse me. And then we have our Monday Night Raw preview. Then we're going to talk about MVP, debut in AEW. What does it mean for his career? What does it mean for the Hurt Syndicate? And also, what does it mean for Bobby Lashley? But most importantly, what does it mean for Tony Khan's promotion? And then we're going to talk about our fourth segment. I watched the first episode of Mr. McMahon, jotted down a couple of notes about it. I wanted to talk and heavily discuss about it. So we're going to talk about that. Make sure, you get your comments and you get your, fingers tingled, ready to comment on that keyboard. If you're tuning in from your laptop or from your phone, you can, I see some people text like that. I don't know. It's crazy. Some people are down with the sickness, I guess, just kidding. No, but moving on. In our fifth and final segment, AEW star Orange Cassidy names the best wrestlers inside AEW, and with an interview he had. So we're going to discuss all the subject matter. But first and foremost, obviously, we want to remind you guys to hit up that super chat. Go ahead and send out if you have any question or a hot take in terms of professional wrestling. Do not be shy, and if you're dying to share something, get it off your chest. Here at the GSMC Sports Network, we do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity 1,010% of the way, but we love hot takes as well. 1,010%. The show is all about keeping the conversation going, keeping it lively, making sure your voice is part of the mix. So don't be shy. Drop those thoughts inside that chat. And if you really want to make sure your comment, question, or concern gets noticed on air, why not use that super chat box? Just hit that $sign below that chat box. Send in your message. It's guaranteed to be featured on the show. Plus, it's a great way to support the GSMC Sports Network, our channel. Your super chats helps us keep the lights on all these many podcasts that you guys love so dang much. Get all the content that you guys love so damn much. So first and foremost, we are super grateful for each and every one of you guys who joins us here daily on the GSMC Sports Network. Your support makes all the difference. So send in those super chats, those super stickers, because you guys are super awesome. And together we will make sure this podcast is bigger, better, and stronger than ever. And once again, if the super chat is not your thing, go ahead and hit up that tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. Don't forget the Superman punch, that like and subscribe button to the show. Follow the show, follow the network here at the GSMC Sports Network. We do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity 1,010% of the time. But of course, criticism, feedback is a gift. Obviously, if you have anything to talk about, hit it up in the chat. Should be awesome. And, just further discussion, a lot of, audience engagement and activity is, it's good for a podcast, 1,010%. Other than that, I'm just up here rambling for like an hour. It's not that fun. You know what I mean? Unless you guys think I'm, good looking or that my forehead resembles a five head. Then we can all have fun on this podcast 1,010%. So let's go ahead and talk about some WWE Smackdown live from Oklahoma City. Randy Orton kicks off the Smackdown once again. No theme song from SmackDown, which kind of threw me off because I know it was made by Megan Thee Stallion and RM and BTS's RM. they wanted to rebrand SmackDown. They wanted to rebrand SmackDown. They had they still have the end credits, the Seinfeld ending. I respect that. Or Friends, which is kind of crazy, kind of off topic here. I saw, I think a preview of a Friends movie. I'm not sure if it's correct, but I think on HBO Max we're going to get, a Friends movie, which is actually kind of cool. But overall, WWE, you incorporate on the first episode of WWE Smackdown on the USA Network, you incorporated, a theme song. So I thought it was going to just be more like a repetitive nature. I thought they were going to commit to it. We, theme songs within the world wrestling, within the wrestling professional, you know, broadcast, I guess you can say, they've always had a theme song, and I remember, when I was growing up in 2009, when they had the Nickelback, and then SmackDown had Drowning Pool, and then you had the, Underground Union, I think it is. I'm not too sure. Then you had the Raw's War. Then SmackDown had that original, like just some guy rambling into the microphone with the, like you're like, oh my God, it's not for SmackDown. It's time to get down. But, theme songs within WWE right now, it's kind of dead, and I don't want to sound, cynical at all because I, respect all the musical talents that a lot of these recording artists do. They have like, for example, like Megan Thee Stallion, RM from BTS, which are, they're all, respectable. They're awesome. They're cool. But, overall, I kind of would have loved a little bit of more of a commitment, especially with SmackDown heading toward 3 hours on the USA Network. With them heading toward 3 hours, you're gonna have to develop a lot more, bits and entertainment and promos and matches and rivalries. And, with them not being able to commit to just a simple theme song, maybe, as a wrestling fan, I could be, over the top, which is 1,010% could be happening. That's the beauty of professional wrestling. That's the beauty of entertainment. But overall, I was kind of disappointed not to see that theme song. I got to be honest, like, and not that I'm like in love with it, but I don't know. I just thought, with this, I felt like under the Triple H Paul Levesque era, WWE wanted to kind of bring back this whole theme song thing. So, like I said, the end credit scene was there as well, but yeah, it wasn't the same. First and foremost, you had Randy Orton come out. He said he missed being in the SmackDown ring. Obviously, he had to challenge Gunther for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship on Monday Night Raw. I get why Orton went over there, but at the same time, it feels like WWE, especially with this new deal with Netflix and, with the CW owning WWE NXT, I feel like it kind of hurts the WWE to kind of have a brand split. And, I know there's so many different superstars. There's so many different superstars, but then again, there isn't. Like, you know what I mean? You have, an array of superstars, but then again, you have your like top three, maybe even top four people who can actually, contend for the Intercontinental Championship, United States Championship, the WWE Championship, the World Heavyweight, and then the women's. You have the WWE Women's Championship, the Women's World Heavyweight Championship. Because on Raw right now, basically, you just have Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley. That's honestly all you have. Now on SmackDown, you have Nia Jax, Bayley, you have Tiffany Stratton, kind of in the winks, but then again, like you really don't have anybody, and that hurts a wrestling industry. Definitely 1,010%. I feel like NXT kills it inside the women's division. I feel like that's the reason why they got this main television contract with, a program like the, television program like the CW and AEW. I feel like it's kind of closer than Raw and SmackDown, but then again, they do have a lot more outs. They have a partnership with the CMLL, New Japan Professional Wrestling, Stardom. They also have a, Ring of Honor. So, you're going to have a lot of talent kind of flirting in and out of what exactly is going to be the women's division. But overall, I know I just, it's kind of crazy how nowadays within your contemporary wrestling, there's only like two or three guys that could hold the strap. As back in the day, especially after watching the Vince McMahon era, back in the 80s, you had like Ric Flair. Obviously, he wasn't part of WWE at the moment, but like people like Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes, Ricky the Steamboat, Macho Man Randy Savage, the Hulk Hogan, Yokozuna. You also have Andre the Giant in earlier years. Like you had so many guys who could take the strap, who could be able to win that WWE champion, well, slash WWF championship. But now it's just to the point where the more you minimalize the potential candidates for a potential champion, the more predictive it becomes. And as of right now, I feel like SmackDown, if you want to move to a 3 hour show, kind of have to be a little bit more versatile and unpredictable. But that's just my opinion, 1,010%. If you disagree or you agree, hit it up in the chat. Tell me what's up. Orton as a babyface, I gotta be honest, it's sweet. I love it. I love Randy Orton as a babyface, 1,010%. He's so over with the crowd. Um, could this be Randy's way of, kind of baiting us in the WWE universe to make, the ultimate betrayal seem that much sweeter from the Apex Predator? I feel like that could happen 1,010% of the way. Randy Orton has had a reputation of, kind of being that guy to, kind of, attack people from behind, not being able to, commit to a partnership, a tag team. I was kind of surprised when he had that run with Matt Riddle during the YK Brew. Like, I thought that overall, I thought it was great. I thought it was a great tag team. I thought it was a decent booking. Both superstars polar opposites, 1,010%. But just kind of seeing them in this position, I love it. But then again, it's a little sus. I still see it as a little sus. Kevin Owens came out. Obviously, him and Randy Orton shared the same opinion that they do not agree with how Cody Rhodes is so willing to team up with the ex-tribal chief Roman Reigns because of what Roman has done to Randy Orton in the past, what he's done to Kevin Owens, screwing him over for titles, costing him almost his career by beating him down. So, kind of crazy. At the end, you kind of saw mutual respect, between Randy Orton and, Cody Rhodes. Solo Sikoa, of course, has to cut off KO when he was about to speak, something that the WWE Smackdown universe wants to hear. And he said, Oklahoma City, acknowledge me. Like it's just not the same. Not the same. I mean, he tried driving a wedge between Randy Orton, Kevin Owens, and Cody Rhodes, which kind of came in fruition at the end of the night, and we're going to talk about it in a little bit. He said ultimately they let you down. Randy Orton, Kevin Owens, together you three can't take down the Bloodline. So it's kind of crazy how Cody Rhodes has to team up with the member of the former Bloodline to finally take down the family. So, him kind of, pointing fingers. And then at the end of the promo, you saw Kevin Owens a little passive aggressive, a little disrespectful because Cody Rhodes wanted to make it a 6-man tag team match. But Kevin Owens was like, you know what? You have your match against the Bloodline at Bad Blood. Me and Randy are basically going to take the reins here. So I thought that was pretty crazy. Next, we have a Nia Jax promo. We have her blaming basically Tiffany Stratton for all the crazy stuff that's happened, especially what happened last week with Naomi and Bayley. Uncovered Tiffany Stratton was out. They both covered her 1, 2, 3. And she has that tribal chief mentality, and that's something that you have to respect about Nia Jax. She was so willing. She was so she was kind of like that mean, the bully, that antagonistic, that manipulative kind of leader of, the tag team she has with Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany Stratton obviously at this point feels betrayed. She's going to cash in. She's going to cash in on Nia Jax 1,010%. Nia Jax grabbed her by the throat, and it was a little uncomfortable even for me. I was like, damn, Tiffany, you come into the WWE, having this background of being on center stage from the U.S. Olympic team, in gymnastics and stuff like that. Obviously, I can correlate to what's happening with Kaylani Jordan in WWE NXT, the success she has had as the WWE Women's North American Championship. I feel like Tiffany Stratton is one more step, one more broken straw. She's on her last straw with Nia Jax, and right now it kind of feels like poetic justice. Maybe they're kind of hindering at this to kind of have Tiffany Stratton as a baby face, but I like her as a heel. I do, so I can't really, dispute that fact, or I can't really, sit up here and tell you to be like, oh, Tiffany Stratton should be a baby face. He should be a good guy. You know what I mean? Like, but because I can see her potential from both sides. From a baby face, she could rock the baby face. As a heel, she could rock the heel as well. So it's not like there's, much discrepancy between the perspective, between the discourse in terms of where Tiffany Stratton's career should be headed. But overall, I love the promo. I thought it was great to kind of drive, fans away from Nia Jax because they love Nia Jax. They do. They love that she won the WWE Women's World Championship. They were cheering for her. Obviously, a member of a prestigious Anoa'i Fatu. Also, Maya Bea family. So, she's wrestling, and I feel like she deserves a long reign. But I don't know. Should be kind of crazy. It should be kind of crazy. Bayley defeats Naomi. Charles Robinson, first and foremost, I got to be honest, looks the same. I love seeing him going out there as a referee. I love seeing Charles Robinson. Um, I love the Uno inspired outfit that Naomi did have. So what's next for Naomi? Naomi, I ultimately feel like I don't really see a heel turn in her future. Possibly she could be a reason of why Nia Jax defeats Bayley at Bad Blood, kind of having that, kind of having that jealousy. But a match was made. There was a confrontation between Tiffany Stratton, Mrs. Money in the Bank, and Naomi, um, that kind of ensured me that I don't think Naomi's going to turn heel in her career, especially at the end of her career. So I get it. Now she's going to take her frustrations out on Tiffany Stratton. Should be pretty crazy. Then we saw a promo with Andrade telling the LA Knight in the back, obviously the WWE United States Champion, saying that he lost respect for LA Knight because where we come from, we shake hands as men. So then we got round 6 with Carmelo Hayes and Andrade. Hayes picked up the victory, but he busted his bottom lip. The LA Knight, keeping his receipts, tried to attack Carmelo Hayes after, he attacked him in the back. Carmelo Hayes, with the roll up for the win, Andrade confronting the LA Knight at the end of the match. And LA Knight, he was willing to shake Andrade's hand. Andrade was clearly frustrated, rolled out of the ring, and was like, you know what, dude? Another time. So now we have what is it? 3-3. 3-3. Yeah, we have 3-3. Best of 7. This match needs to happen at Bad Blood, but will it happen? Not too sure, which kind of sucks as a WWE fan because I think that'd be awesome. Next, we have Randy Orton being the peacemaker in a promo backstage with Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes. Kevin Owens is clearly frustrated with the choice that Cody Rhodes has made. Randy Orton, you never really kind of see him as a peacemaker. You kind of see him as, kind of like kind of shaking the barrel of all, kind of being in trouble. Obviously he's a snake. He's an apex predator. Once again, seeing Randy Orton as a baby face. Next, we see an AJ Styles promo saying he's going to return next week in Nashville, Tennessee, which is kind of cool. Michin defeated Piper Niven. The announcement and then we also had the announcement of a dumpster match between between Michin and Chelsea Green next week on WWE Smackdown. And then we're going to have an announcement with, we have the triple threat tag team ladder match, DIY, the Street Profits against the Bloodline. 2 amazing tag teams who can develop chemistry. I felt like this was WWE's version of trying to recreate, the tag team division of WWE, this Edge and Christian, Matt Hardy, Dudley Boys kind of feel, because I feel like these are the 3 tag teams that are probably going to usher in this new era of WWE. So ultimately, I feel like it was kind of well placed, kind of well placed. I want to see Tongaloa do better. I love Montez Ford. I love Angelo Dawkins. I love Tommaso Ciampa. I love Johnny Gargano. I love Tamatanga. The only thing that's kind of, stopping me from believing in these 6 men can recreate what the Hardys, Edge and Christian, and the Dudleys did back, back before the Ruthless Aggression era, late Attitude era, to kind of help put tag team wrestling over the edge on WWE SmackDown. Because right now, the SmackDown and even on Raw, the tag team division is. Do we really have to put 2 singles wrestlers together to constantly have really good bookings for WWE tag team matchups in the division? I don't like seeing that. I think it's kind of stupid. So, I kind of I want to see how this ladder match. I want to see this ladder match being the main event. I want to see this match last longer than like 30 minutes. I feel like it's going to be awesome. Lastly, we have Kevin Owens, Randy Orton taking on Solo and Fatu. Jacob Fatu once again, looks indestructible. Cody Rhodes was thrown into the official kind of, dramatic. Cody Rhodes' help was obviously a misfortune. Kevin Owens was pissed off. He pushed Cody Rhodes. And, at the end, it was kind of nice. Like I said, you had the Seinfeld ending, but then you had, the handshake at the end of the episode, which, I felt like was, it's good. I feel like, kind of still having that open ended of, is Kevin going to return? Nowadays in wrestling media, there's a lot of shows that's like, hey, maybe Cody could turn here. Like, we're not too sure. Maybe Randy Orton stuff. All these three guys have these storylines that, it just keeps getting better. It keeps getting better and better and better the more they distrust each other. So I'm for it. I can't wait to see what happens next week on SmackDown. Obviously, the go home show before Bad Blood. So it should be awesome. All right, guys. So, hey, do not go anywhere. We're going to jump on into our WWE Monday Night Raw preview. What's happening right now on the USA Network, the final show, the final 3 hour show before before it moves to 2 hours. So this has to be a good one. This is also the go home show before Bad Blood. Can't wait to see what it entails. Obviously, we're going to see a lot of storylines probably come in fruition, especially with the future of Monday Night Raw within the next 3 to 4 months. So, can't wait to talk about it. Can't wait to share it with you guys. So grab your favorite snack, grab your favorite ice cold beverage, and join me here in about like 20 seconds.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits some loose shit. A stupid myth, you choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
All right, and we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Here to talk about everything in terms of professional wrestling, all the action inside and outside of the ring, obviously. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. All the drama, that curtain, behind the curtains, excuse me. Also from, successful promotions like WWE, AEW, although it's only been around for 5 years. Pretty successful, pretty successful. All right, so we talked about our WWE Friday Night SmackDown review, and now we're going to talk about our WWE Monday Night Raw preview. So let's go ahead and let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So before we do anything, obviously, I want to remind you guys to hit up the tips and donations link. Also, hit up that super chat. Whether if you got a burning question or a hot take in terms of professional wrestling, here at the GSMC Sports Network, we are all ears, 1,010% of the time. This show is all about keeping the conversation lively, making sure your voice is part of the mix, making sure you guys are heard. As wrestling fans, don't be shy. Drop your thoughts inside that chat. And if if you really, really, really want to make sure your comment, question, or concern gets noticed on air, why not use that super chat? It's the $ below that chat box right there. Just sending it in. It's guaranteed that your comment, question, or concern will be featured on the show. But most importantly, obviously, first and foremost, we're, happy you guys are participating lively in the chat. We're absolutely happy that you guys are getting something off your chest. But, also it keeps the content going here on the GSMC Sports Network. We're supporting the channel here at the GSMC Sports Network. We love each and every one of you guys, and we are absolutely grateful. 1,010%. We appreciate you guys tuning into the GSMC Sports Network very, daily. Your support makes all the difference. So let's keep the conversation going. Send in those super chats, those super stickers, because you guys are super awesome. And together, we will make sure this podcast is bigger, better, and stronger than ever. But once again, if the super chat is not your thing, you can hit up the gsmcpodcast.net. Hit up the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. Once again, reiterating, tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like, give me your hot takes. Just remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Follow the network here at the GSMC Sports Network. We do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity 1,010% of the time. But once again, we understand there is criticism. Obviously, criticism is all part of the game. here at the GSMC Sports Network, we just love it when you guys engage. So, feedback is a gift. So don't be shy to drop in those chats, those thoughts. Even if it doesn't necessarily, portray a positive perspective. The best thing about professional wrestling is the more we disagree, the better conversation is. So yeah, definitely gotta love that. All right, so we have a full card. We have a full loaded card on WWE Monday Night Raw. I can't wait to watch it. Like I said, it's happening right now. I got it recorded. I'm still, those, that sad sucker who pays for YouTube TV. I got it recorded. I have not checked a single shred of social media. No TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook, or Twitter/X, whatever they like to call it nowadays. But I don't know. It should be a great watch. First and foremost, we're gonna have a Braun Strowman and Big Bronson Reed with the last monster standing match. There's it's not that I don't like this feud. I feel like both of the superstars, they're unbelievably, they have an amazing physique. The only feud or the only opponent for Bronson Reed that makes sense is Braun Strowman and vice versa. The only, opponent for Bronson Reed that makes sense is well, no, the vice versa for Braun Strowman is Bronson Reed. So 1,010%, I feel like this is going to be a great match. Both of these superstars are fighting for, not relevancy, but would give, once again, I did say that this is the last Monday Night Raw before it ends the 3 hour, telecast to be a 2 hour. So you're going to see a lot of future storylines kind of come in fruition here. You have not seen the Wyatt Six really kind of been on television or on air on Monday Night Raw for quite some time. This could possibly be a way for them to kind of get back into the fray. I was, playing with conspiracy theories because here as wrestling fans, this is something that we gotta deal with on a day-to-day basis because it's all about creativity. Professional wrestling blurs the lines between reality and fiction. So, if I was a WWE writer, if I was a WWE writer and if I wanted the Judgment Day to be taken seriously once again to have that muscle, you're gonna have the Judgment Day come in and help Bronson Reed win this match. And hear me out, hear me out, hear me out. Bronson Reed has always kind of been that unpredictable force. He's kind of been that dark persona, obviously. And then you have Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman has been feuding with the Judgment Day his whole tenure ever since he came back to WWE. So Bronson Reed is helped by the Judgment Day. Bronson Reed is Finn Balor's new Damian Priest, kind of that muscle that will never, ever, ever outshine Finn Balor. Maybe Finn Balor gives the tag team title to Bronson Reed, so when he defends it with JD McDonough, it'd make it a little bit more interesting. I got to be honest. So, Bronson Reed comes out as a new member of the Judgment Day. And then Braun Strowman is just going to beat the hell out of he's last man standing match. You see the things go to him. You hear Agent Orange, well, not Agent Orange. What is it? Kodak Black, I think it is. The people who sing the Wyatt theme song, and then you have the Wyatt Six come out, ready to bring their brother back to faith. Braun Strowman creating this match at Survivor Series between the Judgment Day and the Wyatt Six, because at this point, I don't really see any reason why you would have them continue their feud with American Made with Chad Gable, the Creed brothers, and Ivy Nile. I think that's dead. I think it should be dead. I think right now WWE kind of needs to sweep it under the rug here. And then also maybe perhaps you have Alexa Bliss come back. Maybe she kind of states her claim, challenging Liv Morgan for that WWE Women's World Heavyweight Championship. But I don't know, it just makes sense, and I don't, WWE obviously they have to play it by ear. They have to be very, very skeptical. They got to be careful with the storylines that they want their superstars to kind of head into. And obviously, me from a wrestling fandom, I'm all like, oh, let's do this, let's do that. Like, there are certain repercussions that probably a lot of WWE creative writers probably take in consideration when probably doing something, like I predicted. But I feel like for the future, I feel like that would be great. I feel like that would be, pretty awesome. The Judgment Day, kind of a dark persona on Monday Night Raw. And then of course you have the Wyatt Six as well, wanting to reclaim their spot as basically, the scary, the sad, the horrific, the bad, and the ugly that could possibly come from human beings with six sadistic thoughts that could possibly make for great tag teams. So it should be my prediction is I feel like Bronson Reed's going to win. I think he's going to win. But then, this could end in a double count out. Who knows? Both of these guys just tear each other apart, maybe, kind of throwing themselves through, a stucco wall once again or a drywall. And then both these guys are, out down for the 10 count. Next, we have CM Punk and Drew McIntyre both speak for Hell in the Cell. For this has to be it. This is going to be done. This is going to be done at Bad Blood. This needs to be done at Bad Blood. I feel like CM Punk has a lot of potential as a single superstar. Once again, I feel like Drew McIntyre will as well. There was a lot of, backstage rumors, in professional wrestling during the news media outlets talking about how essentially these guys are going to fight inside of a match that it's going to be like a loser leaves Raw kind of thing. And I don't want to see that. Maybe perhaps, you have but then again, if both these guys are going to be on the same roster, there's going to be a lot of hate. There's going to be a lot of speculations. Definitely among the WWE universe, being like, dude, these guys made each other bleed, and now they're going to act like they don't even know each other on Raw. So it kind of seems a little far fetched, especially how personal both these guys have gotten. So it just makes sense that one of these guys, wind up on SmackDown. Next, we have the new Intercontinental Champion Jey Uso to appear. We got the new Yeet. You're going to see Braun Breaker probably come out to invoke his rematch clause. Hopefully at Bad Blood. That'd be pretty cool. Or I doubt it's going to be at the 2 hour event on Monday Night Raw, but maybe it might. Maybe it might to kind of kind of fill in time a little bit there. Because WWE Raw. If you had a 3 hour show this whole entire time, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy to kind of just let it go and stuff like that. Next, we have the Judgment Day battling the LWO. Once again, you have Carlito, Dirty Dom, JD McDonough, and you also have the LWO. No Finn Balor. No Finn Balor once again, which kind of makes me think to believe that maybe he might find his way to kind of interfere in that match with Braun Strowman. Could happen. I feel like it would be pretty awesome. And lastly, we have Kofi. No, not lastly. We have Kofi Kingston taking on Chad Gable. Obviously, a lot of animosity coming there. We have Rey Mysterio being confronted by Xavier Woods. Xavier Woods obviously super frustrated that the LWO stuck their nose in their business. They're in their WWE Tag Team Title Championship match 2 weeks ago on Raw. So that should be pretty interesting. In the women's division, we got Lyra Valkyria going one-on-one with Zoe Stark. We also have Damage Control, Damage Control drama. We also, between the Pure Fusion Collective, we also have what's going to happen? What's Ray Ripley or Liv Morgan going to say next in their in their go home show tonight on Monday Night Raw? So I can't wait to watch it. All right, next we have MVP debuting in AEW Dynamite Grand Slam. What does this mean for AEW? What does this mean for Bobby Lashley? What does this mean for AEW? What does it mean for Tony Khan? So we're going to jump on into that when we come back. So hey, do not go anywhere.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
And we are back with the GSMC podcast, the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast on the GSMC Sports Network. Hope you guys, tuning into the show, 1,010%. If you're wrestling fans, you're going to love this show. You're going to love this show, 1,010%. Obviously, appreciate you guys coming out here daily to check out the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast. Just kind of reiterate what we talked about real quick. We had our WWE Smackdown review, WWE Monday Night Raw preview, and we're gonna jump on into MVP debuting on AEW Dynamite. It was pretty intense. I saw it as a surprise, kind of had that shock factor inside it, but it's not like I anticipated MVP or Bobby Lashley or this Hurt Syndicate to kind of wind up anywhere but on the promotion from Tony Khan. So yeah, let's go ahead and talk into that. But before we do anything like that, I want to remind you guys to go ahead and hit up the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like, but most importantly, just give me some feedback. Give me some awesome feedback. Get something off your chest. Here at the GSMC Sports Network, we do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity. So just remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Also send in those super chats, those super stickers, because you guys are super awesome. And together we will make sure this show is bigger, better, and stronger than ever. Obviously, all these super chats, it's going to help us keep the lights on in terms of producing more, awesome sports, digital video media, whatever you guys like to call it, content coming to you guys 1,010%. So, we want to be on the air. Obviously that's, something that, if you're a sports network, that's kind of your purpose. We give you guys awesome sports content. You guys support us, kind of like a beneficial relationship. It's nice back and forth, and we love our audience. We love our audience. Obviously, we have our chats. Every single chat you guys hit is going to be, it's going to be engaged. It's going to be engaged. We're going to talk about it. Much like, you probably won't see that on ESPN or Fox Sports or any other major, on any other live podcast. And I'm not, trying to down or I'm not trying to throw shade or anything like that. But I don't know. I feel like, under the GSMC Sports Network, we care about you guys just a lot, a bit more. I'm just kidding. Well, not just kidding, because, we care about you guys a lot. Obviously, we care about all the audience and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and talk about what's going to go down with MVP joining AEW. Can't wait to talk about it. It's going to be dope. So, all right, without further ado, we're going to talk about AEW. We're going to talk about MVP debuting in AEW. All right, so on Wednesday's Dynamite Grand Slam, you saw MVP debut for the first time. Obviously, a lot of people, like I said, speculation there on the business card, it says the Hurt Syndicate. And, although, you haven't really seen any sign of Bobby Lashley on AEW, it just, or Shelton Benjamin being signed by AEW. But ultimately, why would Tony Khan sign MVP if it wasn't for him to be an advocate for Bobby Lashley or an advocate for Cedric Alexander? He's kind of tied with WWE contract statuses right now. I think he has like a year, maybe a little less left on his contract. So I don't think, he's going to be here on his Hurt Syndicate anytime soon. But Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin are still kind of up in the air on the, on the AEW roster. There's still superstars that can definitely 1,010% help this new Hurt Syndicate. And, I don't know. I think it's kind of cool. On the Grilling JR podcast, Jim Ross, the announcer for AEW, obviously WWE legend Jim Ross, good old JR, basically spoke about the topic. He said, and I quote, Bobby Lashley is a complex but talented human being. He overthinks because he's smart. He's smart. He gets the wrestling. He basically saying he gets the wrestling, kind of business. AEW could definitely definitely use Bobby Lashley. Obviously, that's no really any big surprise. But I feel like this was a good decision by Tony Khan. Provided that this includes Bobby Lashley. If it doesn't, I don't like it. And I feel like Bobby Lashley has that main event kind of mentality to him. WWE definitely dropped the ball within Bobby Lashley. Every single time he came back to WWE. Bad bookings, bad promos. You have him making out with Lana in front of Rusev, being the home wrecker or whatever. not good. And then he had to come back and just once again being a WWE champion, losing a match against Roman Reigns, kind of having kind of winning Brock Lesnar by disqualification, having a Hurt Business probably as one of your most dominant factions in WWE before the Bloodline was even created. And then all of a sudden, WWE creative was like, you know what, we're gonna take the focus off of you guys 1,010%. Bobby Lashley was WWE champion. Shelton Benjamin, Cedric Alexander were tag team champions. And then they just bailed. They're just like, you know what? We're sorry, we're off this. We're off it. I'm sorry. We're not gonna do it anymore. So then Bobby Lashley was kind of forced to make a decision that I feel like he didn't want to do. I feel like ultimately he wanted to continue with WWE. That's the reason why he came back after a successful TNA run because he just fits on WWE. For me, when I think of WWE, you see Bobby Lashley and you're like, damn, he's like that Brock Lesnar status. And that's something that he could bring to AEW 1,010% under Montel Montanius Porter being his advocate. You kind of have this Paul Heyman, Brock Lesnar version going to AEW. And, I've heard a lot of scrutiny online that a lot of people do not want to see Bobby Lashley hold that AEW World Heavyweight Championship. But I got to be honest, I disagree. I disagree 1,010%. I feel like it would be best for the company to kind of have someone big, kind of have someone strong, kind of have someone dominant hold that AEW World Heavyweight Championship. You've had reigns like Hangman Adam Page, Samoa Joe, Swerve Strickland. Then you have Bryan Danielson, but AEW their title runs, I feel like they end kind of at a perfect point. As opposed to WWE, where I feel like the Intercontinental Championship is kind of being passed around a lot. But I can imagine how other wrestling fans would kind of debate or disagree with that fact because the best thing about professional wrestling is just kind of having titles kind of go back and forth. And I don't even, there might be a slight chance that, under their partnership with TKO Holdings, obviously at every UFC fight night, you see the titles being defended. And then that's huge. That's huge, 1,010%. That's maybe a direction the WWE needs to get to. Pay-per-views are now, you have 4 or 5 matches when you have, 8 to 10 titles. It just doesn't make sense. UFC Fight Night, everybody knows, they buy that pay-per-view, main card. They spend that money to watch these fights, watch these amazing, aggressive, dominant athletes inside the octagon. I think 1,010% that WWE should kind of adapt that. Like, you know what I mean? I get that under the Triple H Paul Levesque era, you want that quality, you want that, quality over quantity. Like, look, I get it. But, as a wrestling fan, like, you know what I mean? And I feel like that's, once again, something that Triple H has, he needs to work on. I feel like ever since he kind of took over as the CEO, or the CCO, I'm not too sure. You've kind of had wrestling matches mean more. You've had wrestling matches without interference, without BS, none of that shiitake mushrooms happening inside the squared circle. You kind of have these guys actually go out there and show the world their physical abilities, their attributes, what makes them special, the reason why they're chosen to be on main television, on the USA Network, Fox, Peacock, wherever. WWE's broadcasted over, 180 countries. Crazy, but that's just something that, that Triple H Paul Levesque is going to fix. I feel like he's going to, but I don't know. I just feel like a pay-per-view should consist of all the title defenses. But, going back to Montel Montanius Porter being, debuting in AEW, obviously he blamed a lot of, what has happened to Swerve Strickland, the former AEW World Heavyweight Champion. He blamed a lot of what, Prince Nana, kind of showing that he wants Swerve Strickland to be part of this new Hurt Syndicate. And I feel like it's perfect. I feel like it would be an amazing storyline for Swerve. Obviously, Swerve Strickland in every aspect of what happens in AEW, the reason why he gets screwed over, obviously by his former dudes, the Mogul Embassy. He's always outmanned. He's always outmanned. He needs that backbone. But the fact that Swerve might outshine Bobby Lashley could possibly be a reason why AEW's Tony Khan might not pull the trigger on this. But ultimately, I feel like that'd be great. Swerve, Shelton Benjamin, Bobby Lashley, and then you have the MVP come out speaking for Swerve. It kind of seems like it makes sense, and I feel like definitely that's something that AEW could possibly have, and I feel like it's gonna be great. Once again, Brock Lesnar figuring AEW MVP, definitely playing that Paul Heyman role. WWE whiffing on Ricochet and now obviously making the same mistake, whiffing on Bobby Lashley, not signing him. The Hurt Syndicate should have, they could acquire or they should acquire, Powerhouse Hobbs as well, Scorpio Sky, maybe possibly, the reigning, defending forever undisputed FTW championship. The championship was, retired on AEW Dynamite. Maybe Hook joins the Hurt Syndicate. Maybe Ricochet. A lot of possibilities. A lot of possibilities that could be happening. Basically, seeking business with what's is going on with AEW right now. Like I said, Cedric Alexander locked down by WWE. They could possibly be, the people that take down the Elite. Could happen. Maybe the Shane Taylor Productions as well, the Don Callis family, the Blackpool Combat Club. There's just something that has made AEW definitely prominent in terms of every wrestling promotion. And I'm sure they were influenced by New Japan Professional Wrestling when they made the decision to kind of have a trios championship. Having three guys, on a team or a stable, it pays dividends. You know what I mean? It matters. This is something that WWE, probably should have kind of adopted, should have, a long time ago. But, now that you have those trios championship out there, maybe Bobby Lashley, doesn't kind of make it to the big stage or the grandest stage of them all, so to speak, and become AEW World Heavyweight Champion. Maybe he kind of, baby steps, they dethrone, Dustin Rhodes, Sammy Guevara, and the Von Erichs or whatever. It's a possibility, and but then again, I feel like whatever booking Bobby Lashley is a part of, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great for the promotion. It's gonna be great for all the superstars getting involved. All right, guys. So AEW has basically broadcasted the idea that MVP is going to bring Bobby Lashley to the promotion, but only time will tell. All right, guys, and we're going to jump on into our fourth segment. We got Netflix's Mr. McMahon episode 1 discussion. Going to talk about it, a lot of cool stuff, just kind of break down. So, grab your favorite snack, grab your favorite ice cold beverage, and join me here in about 25 seconds.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
All right, we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time. We're here to talk about everything in terms of professional wrestling, all the action inside and outside of the ring, backstage news, drama. We also talk about, superstars, their inactivity, injury statuses. We keep tabs on, contract negotiations, extensions, and just maybe, promotion signs of superstar. We're going to talk about it here. If it makes major news inside the world of professional wrestling, we talk about it here on the GSMC Sports Network, Monday through Friday. So, don't miss out, especially if you're a wrestling fan or if you're trying to be a wrestling fan. This is a great place to start. All right, just kind of reflect on what we talked about right quick. We had our WWE Smackdown review, WWE Monday Night Raw preview. Then we talked about MVP debuting in AEW. What does it mean? Now we're going to talk about Mr. McMahon. Episode 1. I got to be honest. I thought the first episode I feel like it was great. Not to, right off the bat, the producers wanted people to know that the first episode was aired before anything has happened between the sexual assault allegations, the trafficking of Janelle Grant, allegations. So a lot of people thought Vince McMahon was kind of portrayed on the show as a psycho. I read a couple of news media, on Twitter and stuff like that. Obviously, it is Twitter. People just like, you know, like just take an idea and just run off with it. People say like his persona seemed a little schizophrenic, kind of seemed like, that person who's still at the bottom of their heart after all the wrong they have done can't really accept the fact that he did the things he did. Of course, allegations, we don't know exactly, the hush money or whatever, this, the sexual harassment of the first ever women's referee and stuff like that. And, it's a very, Netflix, obviously a new partner of the WWE. Huge partner. Netflix recently has been kind of caught stale. Their movies, their TV shows, the series on there seems like it's a little outdated, according to, Reddit and stuff like that. So Netflix needed something raw, needed something fresh. So then they got professional wrestling. They got on board with professional wrestling. Obviously, I still feel like at this point it is a very beneficial relationship. But I think in a couple of podcasts ago, I talked about how Vince McMahon came right out and said basically misinformation. You're not getting the whole story. Who Vince McMahon was. Like, you know what I mean? Like, kind of still defending himself. It's like that thing. Like, you do so many things and you are in the wrong, but at the same time, you're not even man enough to admit that you fudged up, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, maybe, just maybe, the world of professional wrestling would have forgave you more because he even said it himself. He said it himself within WWE News that he never wanted to retire from WWE. So if this never happened, the allegations, he would still be running the show in WWE. And I feel like that would be bad. I feel like the reason why WrestleMania 40 was so successful was because of a new, fresh idea of, Triple H Paul Levesque. Obviously, I feel like Bret the Hitman Hart would disagree with me on this because he says that Triple H, he doesn't really have any ideas. He doesn't. All he does is connive. And it's not that I disagree or, I respectfully disagree with that. Obviously, the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. Kind of, having an outside of the family kind of perspective on what exactly, between Vince, Shane, Steph, and eventually Triple H came along the lines. And, it's the world of wrestling, it's just drama. Drama. And I feel like this docuseries presented by Netflix wanted to overtly kind of exuberate a little bit here. So yeah, we're going to talk about it. First and foremost, we had in the beginning of 2021, over 100 hours of interviews were done, filmed with Vince McMahon, his family, business associates, and popular wrestling stars. On the on-screen presence, the billionaire bad guy that, everybody wanted to hate. And that's something that Vince McMahon did. He did super, super well. He made WWE International. Once again, Vince McMahon, a lot of bad, but a lot of things he did for the WWE was good. Obviously, before, I'm not condoning any actions, obviously, but what he did as a whole for the world of World Wrestling Federation or WWE, it was good. It was good. Spent $3 million in hush money during the filming of the docuseries. He agreed to pay $12 million in hush money as well. The government even investigated Vince McMahon, with forcing him to retire, selling the company for a whopping $9 billion once he tried buying the Netflix docuseries, probably to have it edited, having a producer that's willing to kind of give Vince McMahon's side of the story. I'm kind of happy that didn't really, come to fruition. The best thing about Vince McMahon, and he gets it, professional wrestling is all about turning fantasy into reality. That's something that Tony Atlas said as well inside of an interview. And of course, we saw the forever Mr. Bob Costas saying that, the reason why professional wrestling has been so successful and the reason why it's continuing to be successful and the reason why it's a recipe that will forever, ever, 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 ever never be messed with You have your hero, you have your villain, and then you have your damsel in distress. From the words of Bob Costas himself, seen a lot of sports stuff, a lot of sports stuff. And it's true. That's exactly what's made WWE so compelling to watch. That's the reason why a lot of WWE fans love to watch it, because it's just that, I don't want to say, and I know that a lot of people compare wrestling to a soap opera, and I'm not trying to like be like, oh, it's so fake, it's so fake, it's a soap opera, it's scripted, choreographed. I'm not trying to say that. What I'm trying to say is that because it's so scripted, so well scripted, and because it could be so well choreographed, you can have fans, you could develop this new generation, this new whopping generation of potential people seeking entertainment. So they go to professional wrestling, and all of a sudden, bam, born wrestling fans. Gonna, ensure the fact that, they're, television rights. They're gonna ensure the fact that, merchandise, clothes, t-shirts, money in the bank briefcases that are worth way more than they're worth, like 65, $70. You're also going to have, television, TV rights, ticket sales. It's to the point where it's like, you know what? So what? So what? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what do you want to do? Like, so, I definitely thought that was actually pretty cool. Um, Vince McMahon claimed he didn't know who his father was until he was 12 years old. He was brought up from an abusive father. He was abused on a day-to-day basis, physically, emotionally. And, he was hoping to find a loving father from obviously someone different from the emotional abuser that he had, physical abuser. Then he went to his father, um, who turned out to be not the same because he didn't like hurt him physically, but he never wanted Vince to buy the company. He always doubted his son. No, he always knew that Vince McMahon wasn't ready. He thought Vince McMahon was, he was too young. He didn't quite yet get the business aspect of it. He's like, hey, you know what? I met my son, when he was 12. He's been following me around. I'm not too sure. He wanted to sell the company to Gorilla Monsoon, at first, actually, which is kind of crazy. Um, but I don't know, it's just kind of crazy. Something that Vince McMahon said in an interview that, was kind of crazy. And, Vince McMahon's father never really kind of told him why, he was acting that way, kind of foreshadowing how fame and how fortune and a glamorous lifestyle could hide negative emotions or negative publicity. And I feel like that's how Vince McMahon kind of went on his business. That's how he went. He found business as a common ground, mixing business with pleasure because, that's the only language he knew. And once again, not condoning his actions, but kind of what, kind of learning from his father and stuff like that. And, being like, all right, you could, do everything you can for a company. I could do everything I can for my father. At the end of the day, you're not going to get approval. He is going to say he's going to do things that at the end of the day, he's going to be like, I don't care about it. Like, kind of like a sociopath. Where you can do a lot of these things that are, kind of pretty fudged up. But then, like, not having any reluctance, not having any sense of sympathy, empathy, or any kind of remorse toward what you have done in the past. And I feel like that's something that Vince McMahon definitely inherited from his father, which is kind of crazy. Also, kind of crazy to find out Linda McMahon met him when she was 13 and he was 16. They've been married for such a long time. God bless that woman. That girl is patient as hell. Vince McMahon Sr. once again wanted to sell it to Gorilla Monsoon. And Vince, Vince and Kennedy McMahon wanted to ruin the territories, and that's something that you never wanted to do, and that's why the NWA was so popular in the AWA. Obviously, after it kind of broke down, after what Vince McMahon wanted to do with professional wrestling, it was kind of on the verge of not looking back, never looking back. So I thought it was kind of crazy. Also, something that fascinated me a lot of this episode 1 was how basically how the 80s was so pivotal toward WWE. Vince McMahon wanted Dusty Rhodes. Obviously, Dusty Rhodes declined. Hulk Hogan to take over WWE and have him go to mainstream. Movies back in the 80s, you had that Russian, you had that German, that Iranian, bad guys, which kind of gave a sense of nationalism between the WWE. Bob Backlund, once again, was Vincent Kennedy, Vincent, I think, Jay McMahon's kind of guy. Vincent Kennedy McMahon didn't like it. Without Hulk Hogan, Vince's wrestling expansion fails. And that's something that Dave Meltzer said within the promo, and I believe that 1,010%. Vince's dad died. Vince McMahon's dad died when at the age of 69. He finally said he loved him. Finally said he was proud of him the day before he died, which is, kind of crazy, kind of crazy. Vince pushed boundaries his father never could. He was able to come up with ideas and bookings that drove his father through the roof, drove even the wrestlers through the roof, 1,010%. The USA Network became the marketing channel for the WWF/WWE. Koplovitz, the founder of the USA Network, was was interviewed during the episode, which was actually kind of cool. Vince was he wasn't in the wrestling industry. He was more or less in the entertainment business. Skits, talk shows, comedy, exposing talent to different audiences, and it's just kind of crazy how wrestling could be connected in many different ways, many different aspects in terms of pop culture. Bob Costas also introducing Hulk Hogan and Roddy Piper as well. You kind of have these real sports guys, these real sports commentary. Like imagine if you saw, Al Michaels, or imagine if you saw, Troy Aikman, maybe Joe Buck announce a wrestling match. A lot of different personas, a lot of different perspectives from sports would kind of gain a lot more respect for WWE. So a lot of sports fans that were like so much against professional wrestling kind of thought to themselves, they're like, you know what? This is cool. It's real. So, kind of crazy. Stars like Mr. T, stars like Cyndi Lauper, Andy Warhol, Arnold Schwarzenegger, also Danny DeVito. Also they had, Saturday Night Live skit. It was just, kind of crazy. And, WWE blew up, I feel like overnight so fast, thanks to Vince McMahon. So, kind of crazy. Vince also had this to say, it's okay for people to say that I watch professional. No, that's what Bob Costa said. He said, and I quote, "It's okay for people to say I watch professional wrestling." That's kind of what I was talking about before. It was compared to the, WrestleMania 1 was compared to the Woodstock of WWE. It was, the Super Bowl, the World Series of professional wrestling. They performed in a closed circuit, which is sort of like a movie theaters, but inside giant sports arena. Every major city in the United States and over 20 countries broadcasted WrestleMania 1. It's kind of crazy. Protecting kayfabe back in the day with professional wrestling was so important. So important, obviously, nowadays under the digital media era where surveillance, personal, everybody on WWE has an Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, what I mean? They talk to their fans, they show that the characters they portray on television isn't right. And that, I feel like a lot of people look at it from a negative aspect, but at the end of the day, yeah, like what Hulk Hogan said, it was like, yeah, dude, we know it's fake. Triple H said it too. It's like, yeah, we know it's choreographed. We know it's scripted. But don't you freaking dare come up to us and just kind of rub it in our face and act like at the end of the day, outside the square circle, we can't kick your ass. So I thought that was actually kind of cool. John Stossel of ABC News, he got, kind of slapped the crap out of him. It was kind of funny actually. And by David Schultz, everybody, according to John Atlas, said that everybody celebrated in the back. Wrestlers, bought him drinks. And Hulk Hogan saying that, dude, I've had multiple surgeries, dude. I don't know where you want me to say WWE or professional wrestling is fake. This had a lot of what the mainstream culture, coming to professional wrestling kind of had in store. And, Vince McMahon, obviously, with this wrestling promotion becoming mainstream, has to deal with the mainstream audience. Professional wrestling wasn't ready for primetime just yet. The Richard Belzer show in 1985, Hulk Hogan and Mr. T were on it. The host, obviously, Richard was very disrespectful, undermining professional wrestling kayfabe, basically being like, what you guys just do fake. It's fake. It's fake. It's fake. It's fake. You guys, you guys don't know how to fight. Hulk Hogan said basically himself, he's like, dude, like, All right, you want to feel something? You want to feel something? Put him in chokehold, choked him out. He passed out, busted the back of his head. Can't really say that he wasn't, kind of edging for it, kind of, burning for it. And to me, it's like, dude, like you don't go up to Chris Evans and be like, "Hey, look, it's Captain America. Throw your shield, dude." Or Iron Man, you're like, "Hey, let me see you fly in your suit, dude." It's entertainment. Like if you're a host, you gotta respect the ethics of journalism. And you gotta respect the fact that it's just entertainment. And kind of crazy, but both of them, Belzer definitely he pushed Hulk Hogan and had him, in a friendship lock. Kind of crazy because like this so much negative connotated meeting toward professional wrestling. They were sued. Mr. T, Hulk Hogan, Vince McMahon, the WWE were all sued. And I don't know, it's kind of crazy. WrestleMania 1 in 1985 was an extreme gamble, but at the end of the day, once again, Vince McMahon, some of the best thing that he's done within his career, besides all the bad stuff, was ensure that WrestleMania 1 kind of setting up the future of the WWF/WWE was such a success. Millions of dollars, were invested into this. They were bankrupt. So they basically had to bank on this to be a success to have a future. All right. So lastly, we got our segment 5. We're going to talk about some Orange Cassidy, the AEW star names, AEW's best professional wrestlers inside the squared circle. So yeah, we're going to get into that when we come back. So hey, do not go anywhere. All right, and we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern on the GSMC Sports Network. Talk about, the greatest thing in the world, professional wrestling. So this is kind of reflecting on what we talked about real quick. We had our WWE Smackdown review, WWE Monday Night Raw preview, and then we're going to talk about, then we talked about MVP coming to AEW. We also talked about Vince McMahon. The first episode we talked about, kind of broke it down, one by one. Kind of took a little longer than expected. I apologize. So now we're going to talk about some Orange Cassidy naming the best wrestlers in AEW. So yeah, let's go and talk about some freshly squeezed from wherever, weighing in at whatever. Orange Cassidy, freshly squeezed. I love myself some Orange Cassidy. I thought, I think it's pretty badass. Basically, Orange Cassidy, he's been with AEW since its existence. AEW has kind of been a place where a lot of these professional wrestlers had a second chance of kind of proving themselves, and a lot of people kind of hated that. A lot of WWE personnel wanted to kind of reiterate, wanted to kind of bring back this concept of a Monday Night War once again, which I think is baloney, which is BS, crazy. I don't think that they want to fight with WWE. Obviously, WWE's WWE. AEW, after being in existence with 5 years, they have their 5-year anniversary Dynamite show on Wednesday. You're queuing in at like 50,000 to 650,000 people. That's not bad. That's very good for a wrestling fan base, for promotion. It's kind of like a baby. You know what I mean? Like when your baby's born, it's like you're expecting him to walk. This guy's running. Like he's running, he's sprinting, dude. He might even fly. I'm just kidding. But I that's why I heavily respect what Tony Khan has done with AEW. Not a lot of people had that certain patience. You saw TNA have so much success during the 2006, 2010. Once when Dixie Carter left, and she left with her dad's panda energy, you know, uh, you know, financial backing, I guess you can say. I'm not sure if that's the right wording to it. TNA was kind of left on their ass. You know what I mean? They were left on the fact that they kind of had to do things on their own. They're like, all right, now we have to actually rely on, good bookings. We got to rely on superstars doing their job. But then who comes into the mix? The people who destroyed WCW, Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan. Harvey with a creative content clause saying, oh, I can choose whoever I want to lose to. Like, you know what I mean? Once again, it faltered. It went under. Not really much of a surprise. But I don't know. I feel like AEW is in a great place where it is right now, and I thought, it's actually kind of cool. They do claim that this is where the best actually wrestle. During his recent appearance on the Wrestling Podcast, conversation of the best wrestlers in AEW, Orange Cassidy said, and I quote, "You can't say Bryan Danielson. You can't say Bryan Danielson because, yeah, we know he's the best wrestler." Once again, showing that Bryan Danielson is definitely, he left WWE for a reason. Back then it was under bad booking, bad storytelling, storylines that were dog crap. And he left and he came to AEW and he helped build it to what it was today. And Tony Khan, from the moment Bryan Danielson debuted in AEW, he wanted to put the strap on him, wanted him to become the AEW World Heavyweight Champion. Bryan Danielson was like, no, what you should be doing is don't be making the mistakes that WWE has. Just because you have someone like Brock Lesnar come back into the mix, you see Roman Reigns returning. You've kind of had a lot of examples where a lot of people were kind of, they kind of gave him the title, like, wait a minute, like, whoa, 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 that's crazy. Bryan Danielson was like, you know what? You need to promote some of these young guys. Then you have the Hangman Adam Page win, Samoa Joe, MJF, Swerve Strickland win the AEW World Heavyweight Championship, and it's fitting. It seems like it was it was perfect. It was an unselfish move by Bryan Danielson. So Orange Cassidy, I feel like, since he's kind of seen the birth of this wrestling promotion and then seeing how it is right now, I can bet you 1,010% he still believes that this is where the best wrestle. And it's I like AEW. AEW right off the bat was a different alternative to what wrestling fans were kind of succumbed to, kind of what was forced down their throat. WWE was the only long-standing, wrestling promotion that people were like, you know what? I want to watch professional wrestling, but there's not really any on main cable television that, basically being like, this is what I have. This is my only option. So let's take it. I'm going to watch it, even if it was bad. And WWE, whoo, WWE had some really bad bookings. It was crazy. Bad storylines. It was, oh my God, it was god awful. It was god awful. But what other choice did we have as wrestlers? And that's something that WWE definitely played to their advantage. They're like, all right, let's start cutting down our pay-per-views to like 4 or 5 matches. Guess what? Hey, it doesn't really matter. People are going to watch us anyways. We don't have any competition. Now you have AEW Dynamite. Then you have Collision. Then, Rampage. And now you have, All In, All Out. You also have, Double or Nothing. I can say from the bottom of my heart, and I love WWE. I love wrestling. I feel like WWE, their pay-per-views, although they are good, they're all good. No one's disputing that fact. But they could be great. They could be so much better. And I feel like AEW's pay-per-views definitely kick WWE's ass 1,010%. They might not kill them on the weekly, storytelling shows. They might be not as successful as Raw or SmackDown. But when PLEs and pay-per-views, I feel like AEW does a really good job. Kind of crazy. So AEW admitted that Kazuchika Okada, obviously former New Japan Professional Wrestling star and the current AEW Continental Champion, was definitely on his list. He also talked about Will Ospreay, the aerial assassin, the AEW International Champion, was on his list as well. Kenny Omega, not really surprising there, and I thought it was kind of crazy. the whole Orange Cassidy gimmick was brought up from James Cripley, May 4th of 1984. No, that's his real name. He was born, but his gimmick was based on the scene in the wet hot American summer involving Paul Rudd, the king of sloth style. Even today, you kind of see him go. He doesn't care. He's slow, but that's why people love Orange Cassidy. And then 1,010%, a lot of signs inside the audience talk about freshly squeezed, and it's only fitting. It's only fitting. He was ESPN's Wrestlers Male Breakout Star in 2020. He's 40 years of age. That's insane. I can't believe he's 40 years old. He looks great. Looks great. He looks like a 22-year-old, 23-year-old, and he's still kicking ass. Once again, kind of, going on behalf of what Bleacher Report, we talked about Orange Cassidy's opinions about who exactly does, entails of AEW's greatest wrestlers. Just kind of a quick report, because Bleacher Report reported their top 10 AEW wrestlers. And, if you disagree with that, obviously let me know within the chat. Obviously, I do have a lot of, disagreements as well. Bleacher Report at number 10, you had Sting. At number 9, Cody Rhodes. Number 8, Britt Baker. Number 7, Hangman Adam Page. 6, you had Chris Jericho. 5, you have Bryan Danielson. 4, you have the Young Bucks. 3, you have MJF. 2, you have Kenny Omega. And 1, you have Jon Moxley. I would have, I really love Jon Moxley in that kind of spot. Obviously, Kenny Omega deserves it. 1,010%. Dave Meltzer rated, him, Ospreay, Okada. A lot of their matches, 7.5 out of 5, 9.5 out of 5 stars. So, gotta definitely love that. MJF as well. He's been seen, he's been talked about as, the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson of All Elite Wrestling. And, I can't really dispute that. The Rock wasn't really successful until he turned on the fans before he went heel. And MJF, he goes out there and he just gets under the skin of all the fans out there. So they are heavily invested on what he has to say. They're heavily invested on his matchups. But most importantly, they're heavily invested on his opponent's matchups. Because MJF could take any low rising star and be like, hey, put him in a match against me on the PLE, on a pay-per-view on AEW. Guess what? I'll make him the star the next day. And that's something that MJF's done really, really well. The Young Bucks, I feel like, we're special. Obviously, this whole elite thing's kind of been a downfall of them. Bryan Danielson, of course, that's not really any different there. Love the conglomeration. Love what he's doing within. Kyle O'Reilly. I love that he's there with the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion Mark Briscoe, and you have oh my God, you have Ishii as well, part of the conglomeration. And I feel like it's perfect. When is AEW going to push this young man? Well, he's 40 years old, but he still looks like a young man. When are they going to push the young man once again? I'm not too sure. I want to see something more for Orange Cassidy. He's definitely one of the best wrestlers. When you talk to other AEW wrestlers, Orange Cassidy is part of their top 5. So, it's obviously he's not going to have his own name on the list, but I don't know. I like him when he comes out. I think it's cool for AEW. 1,010%. I love the way he portrays himself inside the ring. The King of Sloth style doesn't really have to be big. Doesn't really have to be fast. Doesn't really have to be quite compelling enough to kind of get the fans on the edge of the seat. The reason why Orange Cassidy is loved in the AEW universe is his overall, just his personality. His personality, 1,010%, obviously portraying the person you see right there, Paul Rudd, under what was it again? The wet, hot American summer. Kind of crazy how you just be like, you know what? That's going to make me money. That idea right there is going to make me millions of dollars. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to be loved by thousands of wrestling fans because I'm going to look like Paul Rudd during that movie. So I thought that was, kind of interesting, kind of cool to kind of talk about here on tonight's show. All right, guys. So, that's it for me. Obviously, that's my Monday. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Once again, 1,010% here at the GSMC Sports Network. We do love you guys. We appreciate each and every one of you guys who joins us here daily. So just remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Follow the show. Follow the network here at the GSMC Sports Network. We do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity. 1,010%. Remember to follow us on Twitter/X, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. No, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok for more content and updates from the GSMC Sports Network. And once again, if I have not made you a wrestling fan by now, we got my boy Emran's GSMC Soccer Podcast coming up. We got Tommy's GSMC College Football Podcast. Saturdays are big, very, very big. What's bigger than Saturdays? Football, the NFL. You can catch NFL content on the Chip Shot Football Podcast with Manny or the GSMC Football Podcast with my boy Kenneth. Also talk about sports all around with the GSMC Sports. With TJ, we got Sports by GSMC. With Jeremy. Sorry. We also got a lot of awesome sports content coming around to go with my boy Basketball. We got my boy Nelson talking about. We got my boy Basketball talking Nelson. I like that actually. That kind of, I don't know why, but that kind of rang. I'm just kidding. No. Imagine someone naming their kid Basketball. We got Chris Shepard with the GSMC Fantasy Sports Podcast. Find out your stardoms, your situms, who to find off the waiver wire. Everybody knows that fantasy football could be a B, but at the end of the day, if you want to find out how to be successful, if you want your team to win it all at WrestleMania, tune in to the GSMC Fantasy Sports Podcast with Chris Shepard. Like I said, that's it for me. Hope you guys had an amazing weekend, an amazing Monday night. Stay beautiful, but once and most importantly, love you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.